Once upon a time, a young couple was expecting a newborn baby girl. The day finally arrived and Abby was born at 11:15 a.m. on a cold, rainy morning. Her mom, Lauren, became pregnant with her at the age of 15 by her father, who was 19. Constantly as a child, little Abby thought having such young parents was a normal thing. Her parents would fight and argue, but Abby didn't think much of it. The little family lived in a tiny apartment that had only one broken beat-up bed, a small rusty stove in the corner with a smelly old toilet right beside it. They didn't have much, simply because Lauren and Rick couldn't afford anything more. Abby never knew her grandparents growing up. They rejected both Lauren and Rick once they found out they were pregnant so young. As the years dragged on and Abby grew older, day by day she started to feel a need to move away from her parents and live on her own. During her freshman year in high school, Abby met Jacob. Jake seemed to be a nice guy at first. Things changed, and over time he became abusive to Abby. She denied it daily what was happening. Jake made Abby feel like she meant nothing to the world. He drove her straight into depression. Not only did he abuse her mentally, but physically as well. Abby would come home to her family's small apartment with bruises up and down her arms. On the off times that her parents weren't arguing, they would ask what happened to her, but she would make up a silly little lie to try and cover the cold, hard truth. It finally came to the point where Abby couldn't take it. After a messy breakup, Abby was finally free of Jake's grasp. The next year, Abby spiraled down and down into a deeper depression. No matter what she did, she didn't feel loved by anyone. At the age of 16, she met her second boyfriend, Emmett. At this point in her life, Abby felt the need to feel loved and accepted. Throughout her life, she never felt loved or had the comfort of a family. Instead, she's always felt rejected, unneeded, and just a pure mistake. She was always unsure of herself and lost in her identity. Throughout the days, her and Emmett started to grow apart. This was the last thing Abby wanted. She always wanted to feel the need to be attached to people. Even as a child, Abby would cling to her mom. She couldn't handle being alone. At this point, Abby was very stern with Emmett in the fact that she wanted to stay sexually pure with him. She felt this way mainly because she was sexually abused in her last relationship. She was afraid if she had sex with Emmett, he would do the same to her as Jacob did. However, it came to the point where she would do anything to keep him around. She wanted a family, and even though she was only 16, she thought she could handle one. Abby was only thinking of herself at this point, and so she gave herself away to Emmett. Short after, she found out she was pregnant. Abby wasn't scared. She even thought that getting pregnant would be a good idea, because then she would get more benefits from the government and give more money to her parents, which at this point they needed, badly. However, her life suddenly shifted and was flipped upside down. At age 16, Abby was going to be a mom. She figured her parents couldn't be mad because they did the same exact thing at her age. This made it seem acceptable to her. She was also planning on moving in with Emmett. He promised he had enough money to buy them a small house down the road. Everything seemed to be perfect, and Abby was more than excited to soon welcome her firstborn. However, Abby was wrong about a couple things. To start, her parents were not accepting of her pregnancy. Not even a little bit. Without Abby's knowing, her parents had gotten a divorce. And her dad was planning to move all the way across the country. Along with this, Abby's parents shunned her. They thought she was so stupid for making the same mistake they did. She still thought she could count on Emmett until one terrible night when she walked in on him cheating on her. Just like that, Abby was completely alone, with no money, no place to live, and a baby on the way.